apart, you're never far.
Imprinted upon my heart.
It's hard when it's somebody that, you know, you like so much, and that sounds terrible. Barb's amazing. She's so supportive of small businesses, and she's so supportive of Canadians. You know, like she just wants us to succeed, not just for, you know, for ourselves, but also just, I think, a bit of pride in, hey, here's a fellow Canadian doing really well. And you know those people that are like good and squishy.
Perfect. And I'm glad that I hit record before we started on that.
Oh, you
because
did?
I did.
Goodness. Probably met her going to the Northwest show. You know, pre-MasterGroom, there wasn't a ton of Canadians going down there back then. So I don't know, probably 8 years ago, around that time, maybe 2013. Like it was pretty small show back then, 2012, maybe. And that's, you kind of, you know the people who are Canadian, who are competing and who are there and all that kind, and strike up friendship that way. And then I know we kept seeing each other in places like Hershey or Vegas or like far away. Like we'd wind up at some party in Vegas for something and be like, oh, hey, let's talk. You know, we stick together, us maple folk. Well, you know, it's a little easier for her. I know some of the Ontario groomers for sure, but she's Alberta, so she can access it a little better. I don't think I've bribed her. I'm pretty sure I would have shoved some in her mouth at some point or another. like most people, like yourself.
So tell me about Barb.
So I met Barb at Fun in the Sun after the first day of the show, I think it was. And
we went for dinner.
Yeah, everyone was having dinner, and there was like Barb and Kat and you, Helen, and Nadia, and a bunch of other people.
All the Canadians.
Yeah, Winnie was there, I think, too. Anyway, so we were all having like dinner, and I started talking to Barb because she's extroverted like I am, and easily distracted like I am. And so we got on like a house on fire. And she was like, "You're coming to my seminar tomorrow," and I was like, I'm not a seminar pass person." She's like, "No, it's fine. Come, you're coming." And I was like, "Oh, I don't have a decision. Okay, cool." So I go, and it was really great. And she talked about like how she fell out of love with grooming and how she like found herself back in love with it once she took like the toxic bits out, which was really neat. And Kat was always like, "Oh, like what Barb does with like her retirement, like grooming a few dogs out of her house, that's goals." Which led to her being constantly upset with me. Because when she'd be like, "What should I do with like blank in my business?" I'm like, "I don't know. What would Barb do? It seems like a good idea." Just like send her a text. I don't know. And she was like, "What Barb would do is not always the answer." I was like, "But it probably is."
So if you had to apply one of the lessons that you learned at Barb's seminar to your own career, what would that be?
Oh, it doesn't work that way. We're all about scale. It's like the exact opposite of what Barb's lessons are. Where she's like, "No, like scale down, find your comfort zone, like do what you love." And we're like, "No, like print the money."
Next question. If Barb was going to be on a popular sitcom show, what show would she be and what would her character do?
I feel like she'd be like the weird blonde lady from Friends.
Though miles lay in between.
Close my eyes and dream.
There you are in my serene.
Something that has inspired me about Barb, oh God. When I first met her, she was the first person I met in the grooming competition world. And she was just instantly like you gravitated towards her because she has so much passion for not only the industry, but for dogs and for teaching. And she just drew me in because you could just tell she was so eager to help other people learn. And she's honestly somebody that I would love to be more like her. I look up to her a lot because I find that just the way she teaches people, it just shows her passion. And like I've seen her cry in her seminars because she means it. She wants people to learn and she wants people to be passionate about this industry. And it's so I guess not intoxicating, but like I don't know, it's like it's catching, like it's just yeah. I love her to bits. And the first time I saw her, she groomed, she did a seminar with a golden retriever and like she fell in love with his dog. All I can say is like his name's Ben. Barb loves Ben. He was one of our really good friends' dogs, and she bought him a bed. She bought him a bed at the end of the seminar. She's like, "Can I give this to his owners?" I'm like, "Yeah, for sure." And like they loved that. Barb loved him so much. Probably Amsterdam. We were just all really high and by this museum, but it had extra O's in the name and she couldn't stop saying it's a museum. I guess just thanks to Barb for always making sure her show makes everybody comfortable. From a seasoned competitor to an absolute beginner, she makes everybody feel welcome. She always goes above and beyond with her speakers, her seminar topics, and her prizes. Yeah, she has so much influence in the industry, and it's so nice to see that many people are like, yeah, like we'll help you. And she does it just without wanting anything in return. I love how selfless selfless she is.
So Barb Prueckel is like one of my favorite people. We have such a blast together every time I am with her. I see her at a show. Whenever we work together, it's just been a blast. So last year, well, a year and a half ago, she had me out to judge at MasterGroom, which was such an amazing honor. And everyone told me how much fun I was going to have and how amazing of a show it was and how wonderful Barb is to everyone. And she did not disappoint. Hostess with the mostest made me have so much fun and really treats her judges like rock stars. But one of the things that I will never forget for as long as I live is at the very end of the weekend, I was getting ready to leave the hotel. And so there I am, like, standing outside with like Barb and Suzeko, and just like the whole staff and everybody who like worked for her that weekend and helped her put on the show. We're all standing there having a conversation. And I said, okay, well, the car is here to take me to the airport. I'm going to run upstairs and get my bag. So I run upstairs and I go to get my rolling suitcase out of my room. And I come down in the elevator. And when I came down in the elevator, I went outside. And when I went outside, Barb and the whole team of people were standing across from one another. And they had their arms up like this, and they made like a tunnel, and they all were like this. And I ran through the tunnel with my suitcase, and they were like, Jonathan! And they just like made me feel so amazing. And that was the perfect ending to a perfect judging weekend. And I will never forget it for as long as I live. And I thank you so much, Barb, for giving me that amazing, amazing experience. And I'm so happy that I get to call you a friend, because you are my friend. And I can't wait to see you again very, very, very soon.
So I got to work for Barb for a couple of months when I first moved to Alberta. I was filling in for a bather, and my salon owner thought, you know, I should go work for Barb just to like increase my speed and skills. And she just thought that that would be really good for me overall. And so I was super excited, but also extremely nervous, because everyone knows how skilled and well-known Barb is. And I didn't want this to like make or break me kind of thing either. And just what I took from those couple months of grooming with Barb had absolutely nothing to do with dog hair and everything about just being a good person and being a good groomer with the dogs. Every single one of her clients pulls their owners into her shop. Like every single one, everyone, they pull their owners into the shop. The owner would drop the leash and then the dog would jump on the grooming table and then just clobber Barb. Like this is like through her brain. And it just made me really want to be that kind of a groomer. Like I don't want to be fussing about every single little hair all the time. I want the dogs to just love coming in, and I want the owners to be laughing and smiling when they pick up their dogs, and just to have that bond like with every single dog, because it was just so wonderful and refreshing to be around someone who just has so much passion for every single pet. And there were just so many dogs where she'd be like, hey, he can't handle the blow dryer, so we just let him have the zoomies around the shop and air dry. And there's this really old Wheaton, and it was matted, and it just was kind of, you know, old dog-like. And we didn't use the blow dryer. We just played with him around in the salon until he dried off. And somehow she still managed this dog to look like Westminster Best in Show. I don't know how that happened, but it just makes me sit back and think a lot about, you know, really focusing on the dog that's on the table rather than the overall haircut at the end and what that dog needs from us rather than what we want from that dog. So that's just, I think, what I took most from learning with Barb was just stop fussing with every little hair and just enjoy being a groomer and enjoy the dog on your table. Yeah, I just love Barb so much, and I miss her. I miss her so much.
Oh, no, that's an awesome story. She's going to love that. Did you just realize somebody was talking? No, she's going to love that. If there was something, is there?
It changed me. Like, not just like as a groomer, just like as a person, like just to be more patient and just love every dog. She really is just like, so she's the whole package. And like every single one of her clients are just so like, so lucky to have her in their lives. Like I never saw her lose her patience, not once. Like, and we're dealing with, you know, frustrating situations, and she just would smile it off and, oh, that dog's just a little brat for that. It's okay. We work with the dog. And it's just, you know, whenever I start feeling a little bit nervous about a dog or anything like that, what would Barb do? That's sending the dog home not groomed if that's the day, you know, and sometimes it's just letting the situation happen and working with what you have. Yeah, like even my boyfriend, he was like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, Helen is getting me to do this. And he was like, oh, you're going to do, like, of course you're going to do it with Barb. Like, Barb makes me feel so loved at grooming shows. Yeah. Yeah, it really is just true love. And like seeing her behind closed doors I totally thought going into working for her was going to like make me the best groomer ever. But really it made me the most patient groomer ever and the most like understanding groomer.
Yeah.
And like she completely changed me as a groomer.
And I mean,
was even apart.
All I need to do is remember the truth.
from my heart, you will never depart.
All right. Barb Prueckel.
Barb Prueckel. First off, I don't even know if I was competing yet, but Barb was teaching her Bitch and Bichons seminar. I think it was at Hershey. It was at Hershey or Pet Quest. And like, man, such a fucking cool person.
Right?
Like,
oh my god.
The goddamn coolest. I was instantly starstruck. I was like, first off, because of the name. Because at the time, all of the seminars had boring ass names. And she was like, yeah, no, bitch, I'm teaching Bitch and Bichons. And she was just like, fucking cool, man. Like the coolest person I think I ever saw at a grooming show. And she's got this like gorgeous smile and such a warm personality. And they're like, oh yeah, Bitch and Bichon. Like everything about her is just pure fucking joy. And man, no, I became like a fangirl like that instant. And she has a Bichon from White Bread Bichons, and I had a client from White Bread Bichons, so I thought like that was really cool. Because I'm a huge dork.
Oh my god.
And but the thing with Barb is like, I mean, I'm not a Canadian. I'm not at her show like every year, or like, and it doesn't matter because if I like message her a question, she like almost always answers it, and like, I'm pretty sure that 95% of the world could probably say that.
Oh yeah.
You know, as long as it's not an unsolicited dick pic. But she's just like a singularly amazing person. Like she makes everything fun. Like everything's fun. And she loves grooming and grooming's serious, but she doesn't forget that it's also fun. Like some days it doesn't feel fun. Some days it feels like a chore, but like she doesn't forget that like most of the time it's really fun. And we're very lucky to do what we do. And I just think like she has so much respect for the dogs, for the people, for the competitors, for the spectators, for everyone. And God bless her. This poodle lady, she'll know. So,
oh god.
When I went to MasterGroom,
I fucking remember this shit show.
This lady was crazy. And God bless Barb. Because this woman brings me this poodle, and like, I don't know, the poodle had been groomed forever, and it was like kind of short, and like, it was clearly like red. It was red. It was a red toy poodle. Enough said. And she said, like, oh yeah, like I have screenshots, like I put it in any trim, whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then she was like, kind of like the Continental. I'm like, well, I don't know. It doesn't look like it has that much hair, whatever. So I do like a puppy trim, and I do like kind of a tight puppy trim because although I begged them to stay away, they like stood ringside and like disturbed the dog, disturbed me, like it was like awful. And then afterwards, they like threatened to sue Barb because I put it in a puppy trim and they couldn't show it because it was aged out of the puppy trim. And like Barb was never like, why did you do this? Or like you know, like got mad at me or anything. And it was like, you know, like I mean, I didn't do that terrible of a job. It really wasn't butchered. I looked at the photos the other day actually, and I was like, you know what? I'm okay with what I did there. But Barb was so nice about it, and I don't know that if I was in her shoes,
Oh my god.
even though I know that that I didn't do anything wrong. But it's so much easier to be mad at somebody that, like, is kind of, like, it's kind of your fault, like, you know? And, like, Barb was like, whatever, I'll deal with the crazy person, it's fine. And, like, but that's just who she is. And, like, she, you know, she kind of, like, laughed about it a little bit. Even though it wasn't really funny. It definitely bothered me for a while, but... That's who Barb is. Like, she helped me find this dog, and the lady was insane.
Thank God.
Yeah. Yeah, and she still talks to me, so, like, that's cool.
All right. So, I'm gonna ask,
Uh-huh.
if Barb were a breakfast dish, what would she be?
If Barb was a breakfast dish, she would be a jalapeno maple sausage.
There you go.
She's a little spicy, a little sweet, and very satisfying. One Barb Prueckel, fellow Canadian.
Oh my God. Barb has been honestly Barb has honestly been like the defining groomer in my career, I feel like. Barb has been nothing but an inspiration and motivation, and just she's been everything for me, honestly. So she was also one of my very first judges with Pina, and she saw this same hideous poodle with like its 10 weeks growth from a 7 strip, and me, I was so damn proud of this fucking dog. And I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody at the show. I didn't know who the judges were. I didn't even really understand the grooming industry as a whole. Like, I had been out of PetSmart for like 4 months. So like, I didn't know anything about anybody. And, you know, I didn't know who Barb was. But she comes in and, you know, super kind and like so lovely in my critique. And like, I came out of that room feeling accomplished and like feeling on a high that I haven't really experienced since. Just this like completely uneducated, like ignorance is bliss moment of like, I did it and people said it was good. And that was garbage. I look back. I think that's why I haven't experienced it since, because like I know better.
Right.
But no, she was like so insanely nice. And at that show, I remember, because I had just started working on that poodle's daughter, and she had a full tail. And she didn't have like a full, like, oh, it arches over her back. This girl has like a corkscrew tail. Like, it's like a little pig. And I was very like on the fence about what to do with it. I was still learning everything. And I saw her walking down the hall in the hotel the one day, and I grabbed her and I was like, oh, hey, really quick question. Like, could you just tell me like your opinion on this? Blah, blah, blah. And we had like just like a 2-minute conversation. But like, it's that little shit that Barb does, you know, like a newbie groomer who has no idea who anybody is. Just taking that time to talk to me meant so much. And then the next show, I don't think the next show, but it was like a year later, basically. I was at the Toronto Grooming Show way back when it was at the Pauseway, and nobody had any room to do anything. The room was, I swear to God, our competition space was the size of this living room. At least it felt that way. It was so tight. And my mom decided to come and watch and like, whatever. So she came. She was super hyped about it, and Barb was there with Nagayu, and my mom starts talking to her, right? And they're like chatting or whatever. And my mom drops on her that I've been grooming for just over 2 years at this point. And Barb was just like, no, that's ridiculous. She's like, that's crazy. Like, to be grooming at this level, like this new, she's like, that's wild. And like that to me was so much of a motivator. After that, it just sort of solidified this whole concept that like, I know what the fuck I'm doing and I'm good at it. And it's still really hard for me because I'm still, by like everybody's definitions, a baby groomer. I've only been grooming like 6 years, almost 7, I think, at this point. But you know, I'm surrounded by all of these amazing people who have been grooming for, you know, 10, 15 years and 20 years. And I've been grooming, you know, there are people in here who've been grooming longer than I've been alive. And you want to go up and compete against them. And it's like so unnerving. And like, I get really self-conscious and get like imposter syndrome. But I think back all the time to when Barb was just like, I can't believe that she's only been grooming for 2 years. And like, this is what she's doing. So like that for me has been one of those things that's like always kind of sat in the back of my mind. But like Barb's always just been so kind and warm and friendly, and like Barb really has become like what I strive to be just as a human. I love her passion for grooming, and I mean Ben talked about his like listening to her and like asking me what would Barb do, and it really does play a role in how I'm starting up this new business and how I'm planning to run it, because like at the end of the day I do just want to be happy, right? And that for me was something that Barb's always really preached. It's just this concept of like, just be happy and it's fine.
What kind of dog would she be?
Oh, wow. What a curveball.
Yeah.
If she were a dog.
Ricky's like, hey, I have an answer.
Right? If she were a dog, there's a lot of me that really wouldn't be surprised if she were a Bichon. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And like, not because she has Bichon, but just because like, after a week with that freaking Bichon Quinn, like Bichons to me are just these like balls of sunshine that walk around your house.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's what Quinn was. He was just a fucking ball of sunshine, and he walked around my house, and he was real pretty and like just real happy. And I just feel like there was no way to look at that dog and not feel a little bit happier and just better about your life. So like, I feel like that's Barb. I feel like there is no way to see or hang out with Barb and like not feel like at least a little bit better about your life.
Even apart, you're never far, imprinted upon my heart.
Though miles lay in between, I close my eyes and dream. There you are, in my serene.
Because even apart, all I need to do is remember the truth. From my heart, you'll never depart.